Hello everyone, this is part 21 of What If Naruto Was Raised by His Father, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. There sat an orange-haired man as he gazed out into the abyss that surrounded him, his eyes constantly looking around as if to find some sort of an answer to which he didn't know. Footsteps could be heard from behind him, but he made no movement as to go look to see who it was. The steps SD out and his head stayed the same, looking out into nothingness. "We're back," said a man from behind an orange mask as he looked towards the orange-haired man. "Where's the QB?" he asked as he finally looked back to see Toby and Itachi. "Well, you see, said Itachi as he looked at the man. You weren't supposed to K him," said the man as he instantly got up and glared at the two. "Why did you say he was S? He isn't. He got away from you, and you decided to tell me he's S. You two are. Pain, that is enough. Let them explain themselves," said an aqua-haired woman as she appeared out of nowhere. He just stayed silent. "As leader, you do it. We will not accept failure from you. If you are the leader, prove yourself by capturing the QB, stated Itachi while looking at the taller man before him. "What did you just? There would be no point in getting him anyway. He is useless now. You will not interrupt me. What do you mean he is of no further use? All his chakra cells have been disconnected. I am unsure if it was intentional or not, but either way, we won't be able to extract the QB if he does not have any chakra connections." "I see. But we can't have him walking around. He has to be disposed of. He went across the ocean," stated Toby as he looked at the man. "Perfect," smiled the man. The two raven-haired men looked confused as to why the leader was saying such things. "That means, the village hidden in the leaves' strongest weapon is now gone. We now have the advantage over them." "How so?" asked Toby. "Easy, we have all our containers ready. All we need to do now is to get them to release their true form and we will win. Each of you will take on of the 8 children to each hidden village. And then release them to their true forms and we will have the advantage over them. Once we have control over the ninja villages, we will take over the rest of the world. And if you ask why, it is because without the QB, we cannot continue on with our greatest technique. So instead we will improvise." Smiled the pain, but an obvious amount of venom sped from his voice as he told his plan to the remainder of Akatsuki. Hologram versions were shown to the remaining 6 members. "Who will go to what village?" "Itachi and I will go to the village hidden in the leaves. Toby will go to Sand. And you there can decide for yourselves on whom you will attack. But once you are finished, come to the assist of us at Leaf. We will attack them last. Knowing that they will send out reinforcements to other villages in need of help, their numbers will decrease. That's when we will attack," smiled Pain as he walked past the 3 standing there and entered a dark and dreary room. "The ninjas in Leaf have been informed." "About what?" asked Pain as he gazed questioningly at the man in the shadows. "Uzumaki Naruto has SD. It doesn't matter, even if or when he returns the village hidden in the leaves. It will be gone," smiled Pain as he sat across from the hidden man. Sakura stared blankly out the window at her apartment. It had been over 2 weeks now since the village had been informed of Uzumaki Naruto's death. She hadn't spoken to anyone or seen anyone since the day Sasuke had told her. Her students had tried to come see her, but she refused to come out or speak. They had known their whole lives that becoming a ninja would mean you would lose many friends. But strangely, the whole entire ninja community in Leaf had gone quiet. Hinata hadn't gone back to the school, she stayed locked in her room. The old rookie 9 were all depressed, while the younger generation was at a loss of what to think about the entire situation. It had seemed that the death of Uzumaki Naruto was as depressing as if one of the Hokage had SD. Sakura sat on her windowsill looking out into the village, remembering every place in which Naruto had been, who he had talked to, what they had done. They hadn't really had a funeral for the blonde-haired boy because there was nothing to bury. His apartment was impossible to get into, it had so many different kinds of seals that he had made. so there was no way to enter. The same had gone for the fourths out. It had seemed Jiraiya had placed the seals on the year before for an unknown reason. The Hokage on the other had seemed at a loss. She was drinking more, work was getting matter by the second, and for a while she seemed to have disappeared. Sakura hadn't seen Sasuke. She was sure he had tried to get into her apartment, but she had locked it up so no one could bother her. Sakura gazed out the window to see the happy townspeople walking along like they did every single day. To them it was just another fallen ninja. To the ninja it was like losing a family member. As she gazed across the room, she noticed the head protector he had worn. It was still as shiny as the day he had gotten it, maybe a few more small scratches, but that was normal. She silently walked over to it and lifted it up and examined it. She held it close to her as she collapsed onto the ground and started to cry. She held the small thing close to her heart as tears streamed down her face. She didn't want to believe it, but she knew it was true. The only way for them to get close enough to get his wallet was to go through his pockets and the emblem on his arm. Naruto would never let them take that away from them. Sakura then heard a silent knock on her window. She had forgot it had been opened just as she turned her tear-streaked face around. Sasuke landed next to her, looking down at her. "Sakura," he said as he looked at her with worry in his eyes, until he noticed the small head protector in her grasp. She started to rub her eyes and sniff. "You have to stop. It isn't good for you to be locked in here all the time," he stated as he took it from her and placed it upon her nightstand while looking at it for a while before looking down at his own, the one with the giant gash through the center. "But, I miss him. I just can't." "Come on," he said instantly as he forced her up to her feet and dragged her out her window and onto the street. She stayed silent as she started to wipe the tears away from her eyes. She wasn't wearing her normal clothes. Only a pair of black shorts, her ninja sandals, and a red tank top like she had normally wore on her days off. This time Sasuke hadn't minded so much because it was so hot out that it didn't look like she was just dressed because she wanted to show some skin. Sasuke dragged her further down the street till he let go of her hand and they started to walk side by side. She looked down towards her feet, still in depression. They had passed Lee and 10-10 walking one way. They had smiled and waved. But Sakura made no move to wave back, while Sasuke just didn't do anything and looked past them and kept walking forward. "Where are we going?" questioned Sakura as she walked next to Sasuke. He didn't reply but kept walking forward. "Where are we going?" "Hey, wasn't that Sakura-sensei's voice?" asked Midori as she spun her head around from the ramen she had been eating to see a red-eyed female walk past with Sasuke by her side. "It was, well, at least she ain't home crying," said Yukio as he finished his bowl. "Be more thoughtful. It's a very hard time on 'em right now, on all the ninjas who knew Naruto." "How would you feel if Midori SD," said Ayami as she passed him another bowl. "I guess I would be sad to," he said truthfully as Midori blushed. "Hey, Ayami, where's Kakashi?" asked Midori. That's when she noticed Ayami freeze and then look away. "Kakashi is, I don't know, he hasn't been home for the last week," she said truthfully as she looked away. "He was their sensei, wasn't he?" "Yes. You know something, I've been wondering. Why is it that every adult in this village is mourning over Uzumaki Naruto so much? I've never seen anything like it. It was as if the Hokage herself had SD, said Yukio. "Because, when Uzumaki Naruto SD, it was as if the Hokage did S. It was his dream to be respected by our village and become the greatest Hokage ever and surpass all the other Hokages, especially the fourth. Everyone who has made contact with Naruto, even his enemies, have instantly become their friends. That was his gift. So when he SD, his dream had SD too. That is why we try so hard to protect those close to us. And when we're too far away to protect the ones we love, it hurts even more," said Hinata as she looked down at the table. As she grasped onto her chopsticks a bit hard. The three hadn't even noticed her sitting there. "So why is it people S for others?" asked Maisie as he looked up to see Kakashi standing there in the doorway. His one eye looked lost and depressed. His skin was paler, and his eyes were unfocused. Naruto once asked the exact same question at the third Hokage's funeral. He stated. The four stayed silent. When a person SS, he disappears, along with his past, current lifestyle, and his future, stated Kakashi as he gave a grim smile towards his wife. Many people S in missions and in wars. They S easily and in surprisingly simple ways. he then added. Those who have goals and dreams. But everyone has something as important as those. Parents, sibling, friends, lovers, people who are important to you, his voice dragged on. They trust and help each other, said Hinata, her chopsticks silently breaking in half. The bond between people important to you ever since birth, and the string that bonds them becomes thicker and stronger as time goes by. It's beyond reason. Those bound to you by that string will do that. Because it's important, he finished. I think I understand somewhat now, said Maisie. But, it's painful when someone added Hinata as she placed her money on the counter and left. Sasuke, where are we going? Asked Sakura as she followed the Uchiha around all day. The sun was starting to set when he led them into the bar. Hello Sasuke, back again tonight I see. And brought your girlfriend this time. Smiled the bartender as he led her to the booth in the corner of the room and ordered a few bottles of sake. So, this is where you've been. He said as he pushed aside the cup and started to drink out of the bottle while Sakura did the same. I've never seen you drink, she added as she looked at the man who was now on his third. As he drank some more. He's been here every night for the last 2 weeks, said the barkeeper. You mean to tell me you've been drinking away your misery? Better than staying all alone at home like you do every single night. At least I get out. And get drunk. He gave her a nasty look and continued to drink. So, is this how you're going to be every night? No. Why did you invite me alone? To make sure I don't do anything stupid. What? She said while taking a sip. Last night I almost drowned. Konohamaru saved me, he said half ashamed as he drank another bottle. But how in the world? I wanted to go for a swim. Quote. That's why you're here tonight. Why not? I trust you over everyone else. Sasuke. How long do you plan on staying? Don't know, he said as he drank more, while Sakura ordered a few more and had some herself. He's been in there for over an hour, said the barkeeper. I'll get him, said Sakura. It was around 3:33 a.m. And Sakura almost fell over realizing she shouldn't have had so much sake. As she entered the men's washroom there was Sasuke sat on the floor looking at the water in the bowl of the toilet go round and round as he flushed it. Sasuke. He looked at her then at the bowl. Come on, let's go home. You're obviously drunk. No, I'm not, he said as she helped him up to his feet while leaving the men's room and Sasuke's wallet with the right amount of money owed. Says the man who was watching the toilet water. That sounds like sarcasm. Are you being sarcastic with me, Sakura? I'm an Uchiha. The Uchihas practically invented sarcasm, he stated as he looked at her. Even like this, no offense Sakura, but even drunk off my ass I can still take you in a fight. Says the man who was interested in the spinning water and the flushing noises a few minutes ago. Know what? I don't care, you can get your own way home for all I care, she yelled as she let go of him and started to walk away when he grabbed onto her wrist and made her look at him as his legs shook. Sakura. What? Don't be like that please, he said as he pushed his lips onto hers. Sasuke, she said as she held her lips as he moved away from her. Come over to my place, he stated as he moved his hands along her body. You hold on to that thought for tomorrow when you're not drunk. Then we'll see what happens, okay? She said as she moved away from him. Knowing what he wanted from her. I'm being serious. It will only be harder tomorrow when I'm not drunk. Sasuke, please you just drunk, she said as she moved away knowing she was quite drunk at the moment too. But for some reason her common sense stayed with her. Sasuke made that annoyed face, the one that was usually followed by a disapproving noise. But it's all I think about when you're this close, he stated, as he held onto her again. What? Come, he said as he walked through his front door of his house and all the way to the back. Sakura stared around in shock, not realizing they had already made it back to his place. Sasuke, wait, you're not think, and with that he pushed her against his bedroom door and started to kiss her, while slowly feeling his way up her back. You talk too much, he stated while he opened the bedroom door. And entered while closing it quickly and moving over towards the bed. But, then everything she told herself she wouldn't do wasn't paying attention anymore. As he started to trail kisses down her jaw then to her end and then to where her shirt started and began to suck on the skin above her chest. Sakura then let out as Sasuke smirked. Sun rays shot through the slightly opened window. Sakura gave a stifled em as she moved over so the sun wouldn't hit her eyes, only to have an arm hold onto her as she tried to move around. Her eyes instantly snapped open as she looked behind her shoulder to see Sasuke with his head nestled in the back of her en. While his arm wrapped around her body, that's when she realized they were both en. She held the blanket close to her, trying to remember what happened the night before. And when she had, only a faint blush remained. Sakura then tried to move his arm away from her stomach slowly as if not to wake him up. But at that point his eyes shot open to looking to see pink hair and the arm of the female trying to get him to let go of her. "HN. Stay here," he said as he pulled her closer to his chest and cuddled into the back of her en. But just sleep. About last night. Sleep. But Sakura. Go back to sleep. I can't. I may regret asking. But why? It's about last night. What will you know? Sakura. Go back to sleep, Sasuke stated as he tried to get his few hours more in. I can't just forget that it didn't happen, Sasuke. I'm not like. And with that, Sakura was on her back and underneath him. He was looking into her eyes with a lazy yet stern glare. Not like me, Sakura. Who said I wanted to forget about last night? He said as he leaned closer and started to kiss her en. But there's no but in it, Sakura. What happened last night? Sasuke sensei, yelled a very pissed off sounding Yukio. They both stayed silent as they heard the footsteps coming closer. I'm starting to hate him, said Sasuke as he got off Sakura and grabbed his pants that were on the floor and started to walk towards the door and opened then closed it quickly. Sakura stayed lying under the thin sheets, wondering what Sasuke was about to say. As she turned to her side and covered up her entire body, she decided to get some more sleep like Sasuke told her to. As she was about to close her eyes, she started to overhear the two arguing. Sasuke closed the door to his room extremely quickly as finished fixing his pants and looking at Yukio. The long, blonde-haired boy didn't look too impressed with the raven-haired man in front of him. Where the hell is she? Who? Stated Sasuke, rather than a question. Sakura-sensei. You never brought her home last night. What did you do to her? Yelled the blonde. She's in there, isn't she? Said Yukio as he pointed to the door. A look of disgust was written across his face. He just looked down at the boy. I knew it. She's in there. You better not have harmed her. Let me through. No. Quote, comma, dot. What? You have no business in going into my room. Or into my house uninvited. You had a mission today, didn't you? So why are you here? Shouldn't you be getting ready? Stated Sasuke. But he was then attacked by about 5 water clones from above. He had let his guard down around the blonde. As Sasuke easily got rid of him, he saw Yukio grab the sliding door handle and throw open the door. Sasuke then jumped up and grabbed the boy by his shoulders and looked in the room expecting to see Sakura on the bed. But found nothing in there. But a few messed up sheets on the bed. Are you satisfied? Asked Sasuke as he dragged the blonde out of his room and glared at him. Where the hell is she then? He yelled. Don't know. Did you check Ino's or Hinata's or even the hospital? Quote, comma, quote. She isn't here. You're going to be late. Muttered Yukio as he disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Sasuke then let out a sigh as he opened the door to see Sakura sitting on the edge of his bed, her back completely exposed to his eyes. He looked at her confusingly, wondering how she had appeared there. When he realized she must have used a genjutsu. She stayed silent. She could hear Sasuke walk closer towards her and then sit down next to her on the bed. Sasuke. Was his only reply as he put his head upon hers. Do you like me, or was last night just? I thought I made it clear to you, Sakura. What clear? She asked as she looked over to him. Why do you think I always hung around with you? And why do you think that I didn't get close to you when you were going out with the spandex freak? Do you think I would just sleep with any woman? The spandex freak does have a name, she said as she gave a small smile. And felt Sasuke give a smirk from the top of her head. I don't know what these feelings towards you are, Sakura. But. Okay. I understand, a little. He just stayed silent. Sasuke. Quote, comma, quote. Where are my clothes? He didn't even reply, remembering that her clothes were scattered around the room. Sasuke. Don't know, everywhere. Everywhere. Yeah. She gave a low sigh. I see. Well, hurry up and get me some of your clothes. I'm not wearing my sake-scented clothes today, she stated as she nodded her head, while he looked at her blankly, then forcing Sasuke to stand up and go through his very large closet to find her something. He then threw to her an over-large shirt that he wore every day, along with her underwear. He stood there looking at her for a minute until she gave him a stern glare, meaning if you don't get out right now I'll force you out. Sasuke left his room while pulling on his netted shirt, then his black one that normally went over it. As he wandered down the hall towards the kitchen, he could swear he heard someone close to him. As he slightly looked over his shoulder with his Sharingan activated, he looked around only to see Sakura's form moving around and changing. He then thought it was his imagination until he heard a very low scream. Sasuke then dropped the mug he was once holding onto the ground and instantly appeared in front of his room to see Yukio standing there pointing at Sakura, who was holding the shirt to her body and breathing deeply. Yukio on the other hand now had a huge blush across his face as he looked at his former sensei. You and him, but, he started as he stuttered, and that's when Sasuke grabbed the blonde by the shoulder and threw him as hard as he could out of his room. Sasuke then grabbed his sword from the wall where he had put it and walked over to his, unsheathing it, while dangerously looking at the blonde. Sakura then realized he was about to either seriously damage the poor teen or kill him. Either or, she couldn't have that happen. She then instantly pulled the overly large shirt over her head and her small black tight shorts and quickly dashing out from his room and rushing over to Sasuke just as he was about to cut the poor boy, she latched herself onto his back. Stop, she demanded as she wrapped her legs around his waist and her arms around his neck while using chakra to keep herself on, so no matter what he did, she wouldn't just fall off. Get off, Sakura, said Sasuke as he glared at her with blood-red eyes. No, I will not have you harming a single hair upon his blonde head. Remember, Sasuke, if you slip up once you will be sentenced to death instantaneously, she said so only he could hear her. I don't care. Sasuke, saying you don't care hurts me way more than him seeing me half-n. If you were to just like that, I don't what I do. I already lost you once. I will not lose you again because of your hard-headedness, she said as he then felt tears landing on his shoulder and soaking through his shirt. Sakura, if you were to go again, I'd be all alone again. Knowing that I'd never be able to see you again would hurt too much. And this time, Naruto wouldn't be here with me, she said as she cried into his back some more. Sasuke stayed silent as he put his sword back into the sheath and felt Sakura slowly lose her grip and slide off his back. Her tears were still there. Yukio had gone by now, taking the opportunity that Sakura gave him to leave. At that point, he was glad to. As everyone knows, Sasuke was one of the most emotionless people ever. So as he turned around to face Sakura, he looked down at her before sighing and then instantly pulled her into a hug, causing the pink-haired female to stiffen, then relax. Sakura, I won't leave. You have my word. Her eyes widened as she looked up to him. Quote. I think I love you, he said truthfully as a small blush appeared on his face. Sasuke, she said as she held onto him closely. I think that's probably the best he can do anyways. I shouldn't expect much. It must have been hard for him to even admit that. For now, that's all I could ever ask for, thought Sakura as she felt him hold her closer. Come on. You're freezing, stated Sasuke as he grabbed her hand and started towards the house. They haven't made a move yet. Not for the last 3 months since. Naruto. Yeah, I know. Is it possible they can't finish the goal without the QB? Yes and no. It's true they did in fact need it. But they can also use their plan B. I knew what it was. It was more of a want. A want, yes. Since QB was the strongest of all the tailed beasts, it would have been to their advantage to obtain the creature. As well complete their ultimate jutsu. But plans change. But why have they stayed hidden? What's their purpose? Who knows? I haven't heard from any of the surrounding villages about any men in black. You don't think? What? They're definitely planning something big. And we have to be ready for it. Quote. They have how many members left now? From my data they have 6 members left. Including their leader. I see. They also have 8 of the 9-tailed beasts. Wait. What? That must be it. What must be it? Sunad. There are 5 great ninja villages. And there are 6 members, meaning that 4 members will go off to attack the main 4 villages while 2 will remain and attack the strongest village. Could that be a plan B? That would be bad for us. Of the 5 great ninja villages we are, as to say, the strongest. I know that, Shizune. Yes. Make sure we have surveillance all the time around the village's walls. I want to up our guards and make sure all the Junin are on high alert. As well, send letters to each cage and inform them. Do you understand? Inform them of what, Lord Hokage? Akatsuki is planning something large, and to prepare themselves. We're all on our own for this one, and tell them no one can afford to send out any ninja from any surrounding village. Yes, said the woman as she instantly dashed out of the office. Do you think that's enough? That's all we have. As for now, we are left in the dark, as to say on what is going to happen. It's still hard to believe. Questioned the woman as she stirred her bottle of sake. About the kid. He was the last person I'd expect to be gone. Yes. Unfortunately the council seems overly happy over Naruto's. But, I just can't help thinking they may have been. They had enough evidence. And I highly doubt they'd lie to us. What would be the point? I know, but, Jiraiya, I can't imagine what it must be like for you right now to lose another student. Maybe you're right. It's probably just me and my old way of thinking outside the box. I'm at a rock in the road now. One I can't seem to get over. The council again. Yes, they seem to be very pleased with Naruto gone, but they fail to understand the seriousness of this. Speaking of council, quote, Tsunade, you may look young, but as far as you and I go, we're getting old. And you have less years than I do as of now. What, or better yes, did you pick the person for the title of 6th Hokage yet? Age has no limits. You're only as young as you feel. It doesn't matter what the outside looks like. Tsunade. A heavy sigh could be heard from the female as she placed her empty flask on the old wooden desk. I know where you're going with this. I have felt the years creep up just as much as you have, maybe a bit more. But to answer your question. Quote, no, I haven't picked a person for the title of 6th Hokage. Tsunade, you can't just push this aside. What happens if you were to S and the council? Just because I said I never picked the next person for Hokage doesn't mean he didn't. You don't mean. I left that decision up to him. Since he SD before he could choose, I thought it best to let him decide. You let the 4th pick. He never really had a good judgment on choosing people, no matter what you think. Yes, but, the difference is he had to go to me with his final decision, smiled Tsunade as she looked at Jiraiya. Who was it? Who will become the 6th Hokage? She said nothing as she looked to the pile of papers on her desk and then to the window on her left and gave a small smile. Leaving poor Jiraiya lost, unknown of who would become the next Hokage. He'd have to wait until that time. And if I were to S before I give my title away? Tsunade, it's only and if. In our world it's hard to say if I'll live that long or not. But, there is a scroll behind the 3rd bookshelf in the 4th Hokage's home with the request of who will become the next Kage. The 4th's. But it's impossible to even go in there. She kept her eyes on the outside world, knowing something the rest did not. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.